sports.
We are the Fourth. We are South.
It's a glorious night for baseball here in Atlanta, Georgia. A perfect Friday night to slow down the New York Mets Express. Tonight it's game 2 of a 4-game set. The Braves will try to slow down the first-place New Yorkers here at Turner Field in Atlanta. Hi again, friends. We have a great pitching matchup for you. 2 youngsters that have very bright presents and hopefully very bright futures ahead. Let's start, Tommy, with Steven Matz, who gets the ball for the Mets. Very important innings and very important starts for him down the stretch.
Yeah, very much so. He wants to work his way into the conversation with Harvey, DeGrom, and Syndergaard. So this is a great opportunity for him in September to show what he can do. Mid-90s fastball, big breaking ball, changeup, and he has been dealing since he's been up here in the big leagues. Lots of strikeouts, 2-0 so far here in the big leagues. Really dominating left-handed hitters. They're 1 for 12 against him, so he's certainly making a statement. And, Joe, for the Braves, I think Matt Whistler would like to make a statement of his own going into the offseason.
You know what? He did his last time out, and it was out of the bullpen, Tommy. He worked 2 innings against the Nationals. You're seeing some of that right here. And he was ultra-aggressive with his fastball. He said he learned something, that he didn't have to just try to fool everybody. And that outing, that 2 innings, no hits, 2 strikeouts on the season. Great start. His first time out, that was against the Mets this year. 8 innings, only 1 run allowed.
So perhaps Matt Whistler and the Mets will be a combination that works for the Braves in Game 2 tonight. It is, of course, September 11th. The Braves and Mets remember that, and Christina will tell you how these teams are doing it right after this.
Atlanta Braves baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day.
of the 9/11 attacks as the Braves and the Mets meet. The promise was to never forget, and MLB does a great job every year of upholding that promise. The players wore hats honoring NYPD and the fire department, among other agencies. And after the game, these hats will be authenticated and then auctioned off to go to 9/11 charities, including the memorial up in New York that signifies the remembrance of this terrible day on our country. Every single year, baseball makes that remembrance known, along with banners up today in the park. September 11th, we shall never forget. Jewels on the bases and flags everywhere, and I'm sure the guys up in the booth will agree that there's no better place to be on this day of remembrance than the ballpark, guys.
Great point, Christina. And yes, it's hard to believe that was 14 years ago.
Yeah, it really is.
And we won't forget as Matt Whistler and the Mets get started in game 2, and Curtis Granderson takes a ball off the plate, and we are underway. Whistler looking for his 6th win of the season, and he's got a good fastball to start the night.
Want to see him attacking that zone, like Joe said, with the fastball, particularly with the fastball.
Good start, comebacker. That'll take care of Granderson, who might have had some bumblebees in the hands after that swing. And a good start, 1 down.
As Joe talked about in the open, Matt got off to a pretty good start. You see his first 7 starts, 5-1, but his last 7 not so good. So with about 3 weeks in the season, left in the season, I should say, look for him to try and turn this around and go into the offseason with a positive note.
Yoenis Cespedes bats for the first time tonight. Talk about getting the bat knocked out of your hands. This guy got blown up by Shelby Miller in the first inning. I mean, just absolutely smoked.
So bad that he didn't even want to run.
Yeah.
He just turned around and went to the dugout.
A.J. Brzezinski had to chase him to the visitors on deck circle to tag him out.
Here are the 4 keys to pitching success for Matt Whistler tonight. Remember that outing out of the bullpen? Well, number 1, here's what I learned. My 1 outing, pounding the zone, had some success. And Mets, first place, next 7. Had good 7 starts, bad 7. Now it's time for another cycle of good.
Well, he was great in his big league debut June 19th. 1 run, no walks, 2 strikeouts, 8 innings. In a game that seemed to last about 1 hour and 25 minutes. He was pounding the zone. And now Bethancourt out for a chat. Might have been a cross-up.
He was actually coming out as the pitcher of record on the short end. He was behind 1-0. And in the bottom of the 8th inning, the Braves put a rally together, and Jace Peterson hit a 2-run double to put him on top and make him a winner. And Jason Grilli closed it out in the 9th.
2 balls, 2 strikes, and Cespedes is down swinging. Nice sequence for Whistler. 2 up, 2 down.
Well, when you attack with your strike zone and you're in the strike zone with your fastball, you'll get those kinds of swings on your breaking ball, particularly when you're throwing 95. When you're darting it up there at 95 on the corners, hitters have to respect that. They cheat to get to it a little bit, and then you throw that breaking ball and they got no chance.
Love that pitch location, guys, with 2 strikes. We've seen Matt get hurt a lot with meatballs deep in the count.
Well, and I think that's something you have to learn as a young pitcher. You know, you get 2 strikes, and it's always in the back of your mind. You're hearing that, oh, don't give up a 2-strike hit. You got to waste a pitch. Well,
ground ball sneaks through by Daniel Murphy. Freddie Freeman thought about making an attempt, but the ball skipped past him, and Murphy back in the lineup has a 2-out single.
But that pitch he made to Cespedes could have very well served as a waste pitch. He just happened to get a swing on it.
The Mets are playing their other team tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they got different guys tonight that are all good players. Murphy, Wright, Darno, Tejada. Freddie Gonzalez was talking about that before the game tonight, about looking at the scorecard, trying to match up pitchers to hitters late in the game, and he said he's got a whole other team on the bench and good players.
David Wright takes a strike. And Tom, you made the point during the introductions in the national anthem. You look down the left field, the third base line, and the Mets, it looked like it was the Jets or Giants lined up down there.
Look at that football team lined up over there. They got a lot of guys up here.
But that's the luxury of a big lead. Rest some of their starters as they try to edge closer to a division title. Ball dropped by Bethancourt, but no advance by Murphy. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mets have won 4 straight, 7 of their last 10 ball games. And Terry Collins' club has a couple of things still to play for. 1, the division title, but 2, they'd like to pass the Dodgers. I'll explain why after the 1-1 pitch. And that's out of play, foul. The Mets start play tonight, a game and a half behind the Dodgers. And the importance of that is if L.A. has a better record than the Mets, they would have home field advantage in a first-round playoff matchup with New York. Dodgers will be in Arizona later on tonight. And Alex Wood will pitch in the desert. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Murphy a short lead. And Wright checked his swing. It's an even count.
Good pitch, though.
Yep.
Good spot. David Wright 5 for 22 since he came back with a homer.
That's down the right field line. Markakis gives chase near the fence, and he won't have play. And it's 2-2. The Mets were understandably very concerned about the health of David Wright. He missed a lot of games this year with spinal stenosis, a narrowing of the spinal column. In fact, tonight David Wright's playing in just his 22nd game for the Mets this year. But what a lift for New York to get their captain back and get him back healthy.
He's done more than his share of damage to the Braves, and it seems like a lot of it, Tommy's been straightaway center or right center.
Well, that's when he's swinging it. That's where he's good.
Strike 3, a very late call. Todd Titchener rings up David Wright. A flinch, and then the right hand came up. Whistler will take that. 2 strikeouts in a scoreless top of the first. Game home losing streak as they face the Mets in game 2 tonight. The Academy Sports starting 9 features Daniel Castro hitting second tonight. Christian Bethancourt is back in the starting lineup, and they will have their hands full with a young man, as Tom said, who wants to join the discussion amongst this very talented young Mets pitching staff.
Yeah, you see his numbers in the minor leagues. He might be thinking the Pacific Coast League was harder than the big leagues the way he's pitching the big leagues so far, but pretty darn good in minor leagues. 8-4 with a 2.05, and gotten better since he's gotten up here. 2-0 with a 1.89. So if he keeps it up, they're going to have to find another league to call him up to from here.
6'2", 200-pounder, and he's from Long Island, from Stony Brook. So somewhat of a local guy for sure.
And his first of the night misses downstairs at 95 miles an hour. 1 ball, no strikes for Nick Markakis. Nick was hitless last night. These are big innings for Mats, as I've said a couple of times, with Matt Harvey shelved for potentially 2 remaining starts this season. They've talked about slowing down Jacob deGrom, maybe sending him off somewhere to sit for a little bit to limit his innings in regular season play. But who knows, maybe he can come on like a house of fire and force his way into the rotation for New York.
Seen it happen before. I can promise you, he continues pitching the way he's pitching the rest of September. He will be a topic of conversation when they get together and try to figure out what their playoff roster is going to be.
That just missed. Markakis might have thought he struck out.
I'm not sure where Nick was going, but maybe just to circle out of the box.
That's out second. Murphy's got it on a big hop, and Mats retires his first man. And let's take a look at the CPI Security New York Mets defensive lineup. Fordo, Cespedes, and Granderson in the outfield. Cespedes playing center field and doing a good job out there. In right, Lucas Duda, the cornermen, Tejada and Murphy. Darno back behind the plate. What has been an injury-plagued year for the young Mets catcher. Here's Daniel Castro hitting .256. Gives Jace Peterson the night off with a tough lefty on the mound tonight. That's pulled foul at third. No balls, 2 strikes. Daniel's a scrappy little player, and every time he plays, guys, he seems to do something good.
Yes, he does, and he's hit well here at Turner Field. .321 average at home.
And a base hit to right. Good approach. A single on an 0-2 count. And he's aboard in front of Freddie Freeman.
Something off speed.
Yeah, looked like change up.
Straight change. Nice piece of hitting by Daniel. A lot was made about Mats when he first got to the big leagues. The fact that he's a New York City guy, more or less. Left-handed, Jewish, and they gave him number 32. And a lot of people were critical of the Mets for that, for putting that kind of weight on a guy and making some kind of comparison to Sandy Koufax. Bearing a resemblance to Joe DiMaggio, probably not a bad thing either in New York.
Right. 2 balls, no strikes for Freddie Freeman. Nasty pitch, down and in. 2 balls and a strike. And back to the screen now, even 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Braves this year against left-handed starters. 10 wins, 18 losses, hitting .232 as a club. That's the identical batting average that Freddie Freeman has against left-handed pitchers.
That was the slow curve. If you'd made a little bit more of a mistake to the middle of the plate there on that one. Freddie might have done some business on it.
Runner goes, pitch outside, 2 on, 1 out. Freeman walks. And that'll bring up Adonis Garcia. First opportunity for the Braves to drive home a runner at second or third base, and this is the subject of our Coors Light Cold Hard Facts.
A lot of the Braves' success was the fact that they were hitting so well with men in scoring position before the All-Star break, but part of the reason they haven't had much success is the same reason, to a much lesser degree.
Funny how that stat always seems to coincide with how your record is.
Yeah, if you don't score, you don't win, right?
Yep.
I mean, it's pretty simple once you boil it down. And Braves have had trouble scoring runs after a 42-42 start. No balls and a strike for Garcia. He's got 1 hit in his last 14 at bats. And a line drive speared by Duda. He'll throw to second. 1. No chance to make a play at first, and somehow, some way, that ball found the glove of Lucas Duda at first.
What a shame for Garcia. He hit that right on the button, and then Duda didn't know what to do with it. It was in his glove, but he wasn't sure where to throw it.
Yeah, I'm not so sure he even saw it go in his glove. Freddie put a good screen on him and then kind of climbed up his heel a little bit, and he was backpedaling and gathered himself and made a good throw, but no chance for the double play.
So that's the second out of the inning. Men are at the corners for Nick Swisher. Nick's been better right-handed at the plate this year. Let's see if that pays off against Mats, who fires an inside corner strike.
Yeah, this is what you would commonly refer to as easy gas for Mats. Nice simple delivery, under control, just ball gets on you in a hurry.
He actually has already spent a stint on the disabled list. Went on there July 10th with a partial tear of his lat muscle on his left side. So Matt's had trouble with his lats already this year.
Fly ball in the air toward left center. Who wants it? It'll be Cespedes with that neon arm sleeve. He makes the play, and Mats pitches out of the first inning jam. Presented by their skipper Terry Collins and Academy Sports. Here in the second, it'll be Duda, Darno, and Conforto, with Ruben Tejada and Steven Matz batting 8th and batting 9th. Mets are swinging the bats extremely well. First in runs, homers, and RBIs since July 25th. And they've won 30 of their last 43 games as a result. And that was your point, Tom. Score runs, have an excellent chance to win, especially in the case of the Mets, who have that brilliant pitching staff.
Yeah, they're not giving up many, and they're scoring a whole bunch more here the second half of the year, so it's been a good formula for them.
So Lucas Duda leads things off. He had a hit last night. Duda with 21 homers and 57 knocked in. And he jumps all over the first pitch and singles to center.
We've talked a lot about how much Whistler has to work out of the stretch, how few 1, 2, 3 innings he has. Even that game against the Mets, 8 innings, only the second inning and the 8th inning did he have perfect 1, 2, 3 innings.
Yeah, by my count, Joe, including his first inning tonight, Matt's pitched 75 major league innings. He's gotten the side in order 16 times.
That's having to work pretty hard.
Here's Travis d'Arnaud, 11 homers, 37 RBIs. Back-to-back years with double digits in home runs for d'Arnaud. The last Met catcher that can say that, the great Mike Piazza.
Have you been able to see him play much, Tom?
Have not, no.
He's got a quick bat.
Yeah, he does.
Just like you saw that ball that was pulled foul, and the ball really jumps off his bat if they can just keep him on the field.
And that has been a problem for d'Arnaud this year. Started the season with a fractured finger. Then A.J. Brzezinski ran into him in New York, and he injured his left elbow. That cost him a month on the disabled list.
He's not an all-star caliber defensive catcher. I'm sure they're working with him to improve on those skills, but he can hit.
There's some scouts who whispered maybe he's better suited for the outfield because of his bat. Looks like they've got left field taken care of with Conforto and Cespedes. And what happens with Juan Lagares now, who's been battling injury too?
I'm going to say their outfield's a little crowded already.
Yeah, Lagares is Gold Glove winner, and he can't get in the lineup.
Pop fly foul. That's headed for the club level. And we'll do it again. A ball and 2 strikes.
Couldn't see the sign. Christian was trying to even raise his hand up so he could see the signs a little better.
One ball, 2 strikes. Might remember Travis's brother Chase d'Arnaud, who was with the Pittsburgh Pirates, saw some time in the big leagues last year, has not been in the big leagues this season. Fly ball right center. Bourne on a full sprint is going to get there and makes the over the shoulder grab. That ball kept on carrying. And d'Arnaud just missed an extra base hit. Bourne tracked down, and you can see he had trouble seeing the baseball. Super play. And defense has to be on its toes this time of night in Atlanta. The CPI Security defensive 9. Markakis, Bourne, and Swisher right to left. Adonis Garcia gives Hector Oliveira a night off at third base. Daniel Castro the same for Jace Peterson at second. And we hope for more good work from Christian Bethancourt, who gets the Game 2 start behind the plate. One on, one out for Michael Conforto. And he pops the first pitch out of play. Conforto from the beautiful Pacific Northwest. He was born in Seattle, lives in Woodinville, Washington. His dad was a linebacker at Penn State. His mom, Tracy, won 2 gold medals in synchronized swimming at the '84 Summer Olympics in L.A.
No kidding.
And as the 10th pick in the first round last year, Conforto is the highest player ever drafted out of Oregon State. He's made the jump from A-ball to the major leagues.
Some guys you can call it a jump. Some guys you can just say he passed through.
Yeah,
the minor
good
leagues
point.
on his way here, just like a rock skipping across the water.
46 games at St. Lucie. He hit .283. 45 games at Binghamton. He hit .312. On-base percentage of .396 at Double-A, and the Mets were looking for offense anywhere they could get it. Well, they decided to roll the dice and brought him up. And at the big league level, he's hit .278. Sharply hit to right. Duda on his way to second will stop there. He's got a quick bat. That's 3 Mets hits.
When I was talking about d'Arnaud a minute ago and talking about his use of the hands, he took a real easy swing at that ball that looked like just a routine fly ball, and he hit it to deep right center. The same with Conforto. Stayed back, hands, quick bat, turned on the ball, made it look real easy.
First scoring chance for the Mets tonight, and the 8th place hitter Ruben Tejada is up.
Here's the swing of d'Arnaud and the fly out. Even had to reach for that, and the ball just flies off his bat. And here's Conforto. Upper body stayed back and let the torque of his hips get the bat through. Good swing on a young player.
No balls and a strike. And a good pitch, and Tejada tied up. Mets have a new hitting coach. It's Kevin Long, who served in that capacity with the Yankees from 2007 to 2014. In previous years, the Mets were somewhat frustrating as an offensive club. Patience, work counts, which didn't suit the personalities of some of their hitters. They are still selective, but we've seen very aggressive at times early in the count against the Braves in this series. And with Kevin Long, the Yankees led the majors in runs scored 3 times in his 7 seasons as their hitting coach. Well, he's at it again, this time in Queens. And Tejada didn't get it. A sweeping slider for out number 2.
Good pitch sequence there. Fastball in for strike 2, followed up slider, finishing off the plate, got him to chase.
Always seems to be a fine line, though, between that aggressiveness and over aggressiveness offensively, and seems as though when things are going well and you're winning and whatever, then everybody's fine with it. When you're not, why aren't we taking more pitches? Why aren't we making the other guy work more?
Beware of Steven Matz, by the way. Yes, he's the pitcher. Go ahead, Tom, get it out of your system.
He's an athlete,
and he's a heck of a hitter. In fact, the Mets pitchers have really helped themselves as a collective group. 47 hits, 25 RBIs.
Old school, too. No gloves.
See, I'd say why not? Maybe some of that stickum will stay on his hand for the next inning.
Yeah.
1 ball, no strikes. Sharply hit. Simmons made the play and the throw to second in time. That stung Andrelton Simmons' left hand. The glove is off. He doesn't want to shake the hand as he makes his way to the dugout. He speared a rocket. Braves. No score tonight. And Andrelton is the subject of tonight's AT&T Universe trivia question. Since 1990, only one Brave has a higher average against the Mets than Chipper Jones, who batted .309 against them, as you know. Who has the higher batting average than Chipper Jones with a minimum of 200 at bats?
It's 90.
Terry Pendleton.
TP, I was going to say maybe.
Yeah. Jeff Blauser, you said you saw him the other day. Did he talk about how he used to own the Mets by chance?
He did not. No.
Okay.
So that's a good trivia question tonight. We'll see if we can come up with the answer. Tommy bailed us out last night. We haven't seen the standings in a while as far as the trivia is concerned. Truck has a commanding lead, but perhaps we can chip away at that tonight. Simmons versus Steven Matz, and a quick strike. Cubs won game one of their doubleheader with the Phillies. Jake Arrieta won 5-1. ERA 199 now. Doesn't he have to be in the Cy Young discussion now for Chicago? That's his 8th consecutive win.
No question.
I would think so, yeah. Got to be. Is he leading the league in wins or close to it?
I believe he is.
Assuming he gave up 1 run tonight. I don't know how many innings he worked, but he's only given up 3 earned runs in those last 8 starts, including, of course, a no-hitter in Los Angeles.
Yeah, so this is his 19th win today.
Wow. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I would say he might have to be your leader in the clubhouse at the moment.
Arrieta lined up to pitch a potential 1-game playoff with the Pirates. The site yet to be determined. The Cubs trying to chase down Pittsburgh in the National League Central. Pirates are losing tonight to Milwaukee again. It's 2-0 in the 4th. Here it's scoreless. Bottom 2nd. And a bouncing ball towards short. Tejada charges, throws on the run, and got Simmons for out number 1. A couple of nights ago in Philadelphia, Christian Bethancourt had himself a very nice ball game. Wednesday in Philly, 3 hits, including a homer. That night snapped an 0 for 14 hitless drought.
Well, if batting practice means anything tonight, he should have a good night. Because he was swinging it so well, and he just had that sound on just about everything he hit. And hitting some balls deep in the seats. He was feeling good at the plate.
Didn't miss by much. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And Bethancourt's down on strikes. That's out number 2. Matz tonight making his 4th start, became the first Met ever with 6 or more strikeouts in each of his first 3 starts. Think about that. Think about the great pitchers they've had in their organization that have come up through their system. He's the first guy to do that.
Yep.
And he's got 1 so far tonight.
I think Harvey's the only guy in their history that reached 50 strikeouts faster than Matz.
Bouncing ball by Bourne. Duda bobbled it, and that's going to cost him. Michael's going to reach with 2 outs. That'll clear the pitcher at the very least. An error on Duda. And that's a rarity. Only his 3rd error in 117 games.
Yeah, and it looked like he had given ground just to make sure he got the good hop. Just couldn't make the transfer cleanly.
So Whistler will hit. Man aboard, 2 down, and ball 1. This is way high.
Good swing.
Down and in. 2 balls, 1 strike. Bourne's running. The pitch, a strike. Throw to second is going to be late. That's a high risk, high reward play. Bourne steals his 4th base as a Brave. Teams have run on d'Arnaud successfully, and he's in scoring position.
But that's what he did the pitch before. He was kind of timing it and realized I can go. They're not going to expect me to run with a pitcher up there, and got that walking lead.
That's one of those moves. If you go, you better make it.
Yeah.
And he did rather easily.
I think he, like Joe said, he was trying to time it. Maybe saw something on the throw over and took off first move.
To short. In between hop, Tejada handles, and his throw to first is in plenty of time. No runs, no hits, an error, a man left. Top of the order for the Mets, and a scoreless 3rd. Remember those who lost their lives or who lost loved ones on September 11th, 2001. We pay tribute to them and to the men and women who serve our country as we honor a pledge made 14 years ago today. We shall not forget. The Yankees did not forget today. How could they? Earlier today, Joe Girardi and Dylan Betances laid a wreath in Monument Park, where there is a monument commemorating the events and the heroism of that day, and of course the national tragedy that took place at the World Trade Center. You and Tom, Joe, were in New York. The first games played back against these Mets at then Shea Stadium. I'm sure that memory still chills your spine.
It does. I mean, it was one of those. It was one of those situations where, you know, on the one hand, you know, there's a lot of apprehension going in New York, but on the other hand, it was a great opportunity to be a part of getting the country back on their feet and the whole healing process.
It was very unsettling for me, and being in Shea Stadium, where, as everybody knew about Shea, you had a lot of planes taking off, typically from LaGuardia, and I watched every single plane go by center field, watching every one of them intently because of how uncomfortable it was.
That ball's hammered down the right field line by Granderson, but he pulled it foul. It's a full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Obviously, baseball was very concerned about the national psyche, as you just said. But Selig felt, as did the government, that at some point the game needed to return just to help people feel that there was a sense of normalcy. Do you guys feel that baseball helped contribute to that in the days after September 11th?
I absolutely do. You know, like I said, as much as you were apprehensive about it, there was a different feel about that game that night. Not beyond the emotion of it. I think a big part of the emotion of it was, yeah, it's time to get back, time to get our lives back. You know, and as much as we were fearful, obviously, and apprehensive, I think we all, as a country, knew, you know what, we've got to move forward. We have to get our normal sense of normalcy back. And you know, like I said, I think that game was a big part of it, or at least it felt like that for those people that were in the stands that night in New York.
And I remember Mayor Giuliani being a big part of that too, that night in New York, and how hard he worked and his staff worked through all of that tragedy, but especially to get that going that night and make New Yorkers feel safe again.
Granderson walks. Here's Cespedes, who struck out in the first inning. No score as the Mets bat in the 3rd inning. Was that a hard game to watch your teammates play, Tom? I don't recall if you pitched in that game or not. Was, from that standpoint, was it harder than normal?
No, I think it was just different. You know, the outcome of the game was.
That's whacked towards center. Bourne on the run. Can't get that one. It's up off the top of the wall. Cespedes on his way to second. Granderson's getting a green light. Castro's throw to the plate will be a shade late. And Cespedes continues his unbelievable work since coming to the National League. A ringing double brings home Granderson, and the Mets have scored first.
Bell tied down the middle, and I mean, this ball was scalded. Michael Bourne in his effort to catch it, and he came close, but his momentum carries him to a point where he has to come back and get the baseball, and that's what allowed Granderson time to circle the bases after his leadoff walk.
So 37 RBIs for Cespedes in the National League. This is his 38th game as a Met. Daniel Murphy will try at the very least to get him over to third base. I know the Braves wanted to win every game that they played, every single time they took the field, but the sense I get from talking to Bobby Cox and Chipper Jones, John Smoltz, other players that were on that team, was everybody was really okay with the way that game ended up at Shea.
No, and to finish my point, I think that was one of the few times I think we went on the field as a team, and the outcome of the game was less important than the game itself. You know, we needed to be out there, and we knew what it meant. And then I agree. I think it was one of the few games, maybe the only game I ever played, that I really didn't care that we lost and how it went, because it seemed like it needed to go that way.
Murphy hits a fly ball to right. Let's see if Cespedes tags. He's going to. Markakis makes the catch. Productive out for Daniel Murphy.
That's exactly what Brian Jordan told me tonight too. He said it's the only game I ever lost that I didn't mind losing.
Right.
Well, it is remarkable to see what America has done, what the city of New York has done, what the people of New York have done with that World Trade Center area now. The Freedom Tower has risen proudly at the World Trade Center site. The memorial, the museum is there. And again, for one day, everything else gets put aside, and justifiably so, as we remember that awful day 14 years ago. Infield in for David Wright. And that's taken low. 1 ball, no strikes. Wright was caught looking in the bottom of the first inning. Popped up. Will it stay in play for Freddie? He's at the rail. He's going to have room, and he makes the play. David Wright pops up in front of the Braves dugout. That helps. 2 down.
It's a big out there. Runner on third, less than 2 outs. Now you got to make a pitch. You got to get out of the inning. You got an opportunity to get out of this inning with the 1 run. You got to bear down and make a pitch.
Well, you got a good pitch to hit too. A high fastball, let her high. He was trying like crazy to get that ball to go into the seats, and it wouldn't. Good play by Freeman.
Lucas Duda singled his first time up and was left stranded in the Mets' second. A leadoff walk to Granderson. A Cespedes double off the wall. 1-0 New York, but now there are 2 outs. If Whistler pitches Duda carefully, well, they're going to walk him now. It's understandable. Lefties have been the men that have given him the most trouble in his first big league season.
Yeah, I was just going to say, with a right-hander on deck, I wouldn't give Duda anything to hit. Obviously, they're not, but left-handers coming into the game were hitting .340 against him. 9 of the 12 homers he allowed. There are the splits.
4th intentional walk issued to Lucas Duda, who also leads their club in hit by pitches. He's been plunked 12 times, so he's not afraid to lean into one if needed.
Well, just get d'Arnaud to hit it anywhere near Andrelton Simmons.
That's right.
Andrelton's had his number.
Made 2 or 3 circus plays to rob the New York catcher. Darno 0 for 1. He flied out his first time up. Bethencourt wanted time.
We've seen this before, where it seemed like the pitcher and the catcher couldn't get together with Bethencourt, and it was sign related. And then another guy would come into the game out of the bullpen, the same thing existed, and the next guy, same thing existed. So I'm not sure what it is about his signs at times, or if it's like it can happen at Turner Field. Maybe Whistler just can't see them.
He's got the fingernail polish or tape on his fingertips to try to help see the signs.
Yeah, I mean, he's got orange, it looks like. I think typically, guys, when you're doing that, you got white tape on your fingers, or
AJ had yellow last night.
Yeah,
maybe the white would get lost in the uniform bottoms of Braves catchers at home. Popped up out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike.
See, he'd have to change for me because I don't like orange.
Right. Big problem for you.
I know you're not going to like it on Saturday, that's for sure.
Nope.
One ball, 1 strike. Yeah, there's a pretty pitch. 1-2. One of the features of SunTrust Park will not only be aesthetically pleasing, it will also be very practical. There will be lights in the outfield.
Hallelujah. That'll help everybody, outfielders included.
Fly ball right. Markakis near the line, slowing, foul ground, got there. Good inning for Whistler. Mets had a chance for a big frame. He limited the damage to only 1, and the Braves are up in the 3rd. At Shea Stadium in New York, first major league games in the Big Apple since the terrorist attacks. It was September 21st. There's the mayor, Rudolph Giuliani, and that was the decisive blow from Mike Piazza.
And I mean, it was a no-doubter.
Yeah, it was.
Straightaway center. I think it hit up into the camera.
A big speaker thing they had up, or a camera thing they had up there in left center field.
So Steven Matz has a 1-0 lead, and the Braves will face him a second time now. The inning starts with Nick Markakis, who bounced out to second base. Nice and easy across at 95 for a strike. 1-1 the count. Still a ways to go before the Mets think about their playoff rotation, get all that stuff settled. If Harvey's going to be in the rotation, if DeGrom, if Syndergaard are going to be in rotation. Wonder where Matz would have a place for them, especially the way Bartolo Colon is pitching for them. Heck, he has 31 scoreless innings, or had 31 scoreless innings in a row before the Braves touched him for a run last night. Here's a suggestion. How about putting this guy in the 6th or 7th inning?
You certainly could do that too.
swing from Nick Markakis the other way. His first hit of the series, second hit of the night for the Braves, and he represents the tying run.
Nice also by Conforto to hold him to a single. But that's what I've talked about with Nick just about all year long, is how he waits so long on pitches and reacts. Ball was away from him. Matz is wearing out that outside corner on left-handed hitters so far. So Nick was wise to that, took it the other way.
He's really had an outstanding year for the Braves this year. I'm really excited about what could be in the offing for Markakis next year.
He was talking before the game about last night's game, and I brought up Kelly Johnson's check swinging bunt that was really decisive in that 3-run inning. And he said those are the things that, if you're a winning ball club, you don't even pay attention to it if it happens to you. But the fact that things keep happening to the Braves, he said, are so magnified because they become such a big part of the game, and in this case of a loss. And he just said that because the team had been struggling and finding it hard to get wins, it seems like those things keep coming around again and again.
Yeah, when you're getting those kinds of ruts and you're having that kind of season, I think you spend a lot of time waiting to see what's going to go wrong.
Double play ball. Tejada with a bobble. Murphy with a turn and the stretch by Duda. And almost rolled out of reach of Ruben Tejada, but no such luck for Atlanta. 2 outs.
The Mets and the Braves about the same spot defensively in the league, right in the middle of the pack.
Strike to Freddie. Defense was a problem for the Mets early in the season. I think that illustrates Nick Markakis' point. When the Mets weren't scoring runs, every time Wilmer Flores or Tejada made a mistake, it seemed to cost him a game. That's certainly changed. As that one just missed. 2 balls and a strike. Mets with 77 errors. The Braves with 76. And a squibber out toward Duda. He'll make the play, and Mets shuts down Atlanta in the 3rd. He's due 3rd for New York. We head to the 4th. 1-0 Mets. Friend at Turner Field, Sunday, September 20th. It's Bark in the Park Day at the ballpark. For only $32, you get a human ticket, a dog ticket, and a Braves ceramic dog bowl. And you'll see the Braves take on the Phillies. Tickets are going fast. Go to Braves.com/bark today. When I first saw the graphic, I thought it said a Braves cereal dog bowl. That's always a popular
The bride
promo.
and the bridesmaids out celebrating tonight. This is just stop number 1, though.
Yeah. Well, maybe. They might have had a few stops before they got here.
Yep.
Well, that guy's marrying a very lovely lady, and he's a lucky man. She's at a baseball game for her bachelorette party. One ball, one strike for Michael Conforto. He singled and was forced out back in the second inning. Matt has been much more aggressive with his fastball tonight. Looking good so far. But he could use an easy inning. He has yet to have a 1-2-3 frame. 34 of his 55 pitches tonight have come out of the stretch. And that one's going to drop, and he'll have to hold Conforto at first, who stands there with a leadoff single and is 2 for 2 tonight.
Well, Conforto's left-handed. He's 2 for 2. Duda 1 for 1 with an intentional walk. Murphy's 1 for 2. And Granderson 0 for 1 with a walk and a run scored. So again, it's these lefties that are really doing the damage on him. Now, I realize Cespedes hit a double, but it only produced a run because there was a walk in front of it to a lefty.
So Tejada bats and struck out his first time up. Whistler has 3 strikeouts, 2 walks, one of them intentional. That was to Duda. Smart play to pitch around him and get d'Arnaud. That's pulled foul past third. It's a strike for Ruben Tejada.
Just 22 years old, Whistler. He has a birthday in 2 days. Tomorrow.
Bouncing ball. Simmons flips to Castro. Slip double play. First one Atlanta has turned tonight. And now you face Matz with the bases empty. Matz hit a rocket to short. And Simmons retired him and New York in the second inning. 5 RBIs for the Mets pitcher. In their press notes, they call him Steven Bats. His 5 RBIs were the most for any player through 2 career games in Mets history. Think about that. He's a pitcher. No other Met had more than 3 RBIs after 2 games in their Mets debuts. He's the 6th pitcher in the last century and the 2nd in the last 70 years with at least 3 hits in his major league debut on the mound. That came against the Reds June 28th. Oh, by the way, he went 7 2/3 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, and got the win.
American Legion game,
right?
Yep.
Now it's 3-1.
Tomorrow's also Freddie Freeman's birthday. Whistler will be 23 tomorrow. Freeman 26.
Fly ball, shallow center. Michael Bourne has it measured up, and that will retire the side. Leadoff single, a double play, and a pop out sends us to the home fourth.
Lead the Braves by a run. And going into this start, we talked to Matt Whistler about his struggles this season. He said more than anything, they've been mental. He said, I had mound presence that was not what it should have been. He said, I was going out pitching in fear of failure instead of going out and pitching and doing what I know to do and just see what happens. He said that success he had in D.C. in those 2 innings out of the bullpen really helped him get back to a good mentality, able to attack hitters and think about only getting outs. And he's hoping that mentality will transfer into situations where he has guys on base and he can get that extra gear to figure out ways to get out of situations.
It's all about confidence, right?
Oh, everything. I don't, hitting, pitching, doesn't matter, and said it a lot when it comes to pitching. When you're out there on the mound and your mentality is to pitch to not to lose or not to make mistakes, it's a tough way to pitch.
Well, he's through 4 innings. He's given up only 1 run to the hottest hitting team in the National League right now. He needs some help from his offense against Steven Matz, the talented young Mets lefty. Has shut out the Braves on 2 hits so far. The 4, 5, and 6 hitters up in the 4th inning. Garcia, Swisher, and Simmons. Line into right field. Garcia goes the other way for a leadoff hit. Back-to-back innings with the first man aboard for the Braves.
Any of the fastballs that he has not been able to hit those corners with, the Braves have had good swings at naturally. And I was just looking at his minor league numbers. When he got called up, he was first in the Pacific Coast League in ERA, first in strikeouts, tied for first in wins, and his batting average against was 3rd best in the league. So everything he was doing there was top-notch, best in the league type stuff. And he hasn't really walked that many guys for this early in his big league career. I've been very impressed with his fastball location so far.
Yeah, good location and on both sides of the plate.
One ball, no strikes for Nick Swisher. And a bouncing ball to David Wright. He's going to go to second. Long throw. Throw to first. Not in time. That was nearly a miraculous double play. The Mets got the force at second. Swisher just able to beat the throw to first. And one man is out.
Terrific start there by Murphy. I mean by Wright, and Murphy standing in there with Garcia bearing in on him, still got it off.
So one man down for Andrelton Simmons. He rolled out to short his first time up. Andrelton has had a great year at the plate against the Mets, including an 0 for 1 tonight. He's got 23 hits and 48 at bats. So 23 of his 121 hits this year have come against New York pitching. And again, we've talked about how good their staff is. That tells you a lot. Darno held it there for an extra second. 2 balls and a strike. Now it's even.
He's got a nice spread on his fastball and changeup from 95. That one was 83.
Yeah, you can throw 95 and locate with that, and then you can throw that changeup like that behind in the count.
Hey, there's Dan Warthen back in the dugout. That's nice to see.
Yeah.
Hope he's feeling better.
Hospitalized yesterday after feeling ill at the ballpark. And a base hit to left for Simmons. He does it again to the Mets pitching staff. This time it's Steven Matz. And Christian Bethancourt bats with 2 aboard in a 1-0 New York game.
But just like Tom said, the location of the changeup before versus the location of this one, 2 different stories.
Yep, and that's what happens. You know, a lot of times, particularly with young guys, when you try to double up on an off-speed pitch, you try to throw the second one way better than you threw the first one, and you guide it, steer it, and usually you don't throw a good one. That takes practice, getting comfortable with that in game situations. You can do it in the bullpen, but it takes time to get comfortable doing that. And getting that mentality to just trust yourself to throw another good one instead of trying to throw it better than the last one.
'95 will work more often than not. And Bethancourt didn't get that one. He struck out his first time up. That's popped out of play foul. It's quickly 0-2. Hope our buddy Jim Powell's enjoying his night off. He's got tonight's game off, so he can spend some time with family at his palatial estate in North Atlanta.
Who's sitting in for him tonight?
It's like Ben. And Ingram.
All right.
Fly ball shallow center. It'll be Murphy drifting out. Infield fly is called, and Bethancourt's the second out. I'm not sure if Ben was listening to Don or reading Jim's ad libs.
Ben just asked, can I touch that? Whatever that is, can I touch it?
And I think the answer was no. Looked up, put it over to the side. No chance. Whippersnapper. Here's Bourne. 2 on, 2 out. A run on 5 hits for the Mets. No runs, 4 hits for the Braves. And that's inside to Michael. He reached on Duda's fielding error in the second.
There are a lot of times where we see a guy that's heavy set and we think, oh, there's no way he's got to weigh more than what the book says. Well, it's kind of the same here with Matt's, only the other way. He's listed at 200 pounds. He looks a lot trimmer than that. He's real lanky.
Well, at 6'2", 200 pounds, he's certainly got some growing to do into that frame.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Just another in a long line of talented pitchers that have made their way to the big leagues, throwing in the mid-90s. Just what the Mets need more of.
Yeah.
Swisher at second, Simmons at first. And rolled foul again. And the Mets will have some decisions to make at the end of the season. Got to figure out what to do with Daniel Murphy. They've got to figure out whether they can re-sign Cespedes. 2 balls, 2 strikes. I believe Terry Collins is a free agent too.
I was just going to say, you better include him in that list. I can't believe they haven't addressed that already. You know, I'm close to Terry and like him, but with everything that he's handled before this year and to put them in this place that they are now, how their front office hasn't already taken care of that is quite surprising.
2-2. Ooh, and another foul ball. Good at bat by Michael Bourne. Swisher reached on a force play. Simmons on a single. Pitch count for the young Mets lefty starting to pile up as Michael Bourne's fouled off a handful of tough pitches. This will be his 22nd of the inning and 70th for the game.
That's what Darno wanted. He went out there to talk about how we can finish this at bat. He got a curveball just off the plate, so now let's see what else they talked about here with a full count and the runners moving.
Yeah, see if he goes back to it or if he goes back to that fastball away.
Runners go, and it's off the plate.
Great at bat. Had the pitcher on deck, so they weren't going to give in. Curveball away, fastball away, missed with both.
So Whistler a chance to help himself. Matt's got an RBI. He has 1 big league hit. Sharply hit, but right to Murphy, who went to a knee at second. And that will retire the side. The Braves send 6 to the plate, leave the bases loaded, and trail by a run.
stuff, low price every day.
Time for our CPI game summary tonight as we've completed 4 innings. 1 run is all we've seen, and unfortunately, fellas, the Mets have it.
Yeah, a big double by Cespedes. Who else? But Matt Whistler has pitched much better tonight than in recent starts. Just needs a couple of runs to work with.
And he's got the top of the order coming up for New York. First 2 were the men that created the lone run tonight. Granderson walked and came home on a Cespedes double off the wall. This is something Curtis has been doing a lot. He's been getting on base with reckless abandon for New York. Scoring a lot of runs out of the leadoff spot. By the way, he's hit 7 leadoff homers too, so he's been a big offensive threat. And quickly, 0-2.
Well, as a leadoff man, you can't be afraid to hit behind in the count. If you're a guy up there, trying to figure out a way to get on base, draw a walk, something he does well, he doesn't mind hitting behind in the count at all. 79 walks on the year.
And that's 7th most in the big leagues, 5th most in the National League. He scored 84 runs now. Doing exactly what you want your #1 guy to do.
You get your leadoff guy scoring somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 runs. He's doing a good job for you.
Off the plate, 2 balls, 2 strikes. (9 p.m. in Atlanta). Game 2, Braves and Mets. Joe Simpson, Tom Glavine, Christina Fitzpatrick, Chip Carey, and our crew here at Turner Field. And that's spoiled foul, left side and out of play. Beautiful night tonight. Great weather expected all weekend long. If you have major plans, we hope you'll join us. 2 more to follow with New York, including tomorrow night and Sunday afternoon. Monday, an off day. And that's into the seats again. It's still a full count.
I love this. I love the fact that he's just on this 3-2 count. He's just pounding the lower part of the zone with that fastball at 94. Try it again.
And Granderson the other way. A base hit.
Left that one up a little bit, and he was able to serve it through the hole.
So he begins his 3rd trip through the lineup already for New York.
And that hasn't been kind to him.
And now a big challenge. Yoenis Cespedes is standing in.
Cespedes, guys, I mean, see if you agree with me on this with respect to Troy Tulowitzki, who we're going to see here next week, and the acquisitions by their respective teams. He's done all this damage, Cespedes has, for the Mets, and he's batting in the 2 hole. It's not like they went out and immediately plugged him in the cleanup spot. Tulowitzki, the same thing. Tulowitzki was leading off. Now they've moved him down in the lower part of the order where he's more comfortable and being productive. But getting those 2 guys and where they put them in the order has been kind of unique in a way.
No balls and a strike for Cespedes, and a shot to right. That's going to get down for a hit. 2 on and nobody out. And Cespedes, our Georgia lottery hitting the jackpot, has done that tonight. 2 hits and 3 tries. Bottom of the order is feeding the top. Top's pushing the order down to the bottom, and the Mets are scoring runs at will, over 6.5 runs a game over the last couple of weeks.
Slugging percentage pretty amazing. All those home runs.
As I said, since July 25th, Mets are first in runs, homers, RBIs. They've won 30 of 43 games.
Yeah, it's just right now, it's just not many, if any, spots in that lineup where, as a pitcher, you're looking to get out. You're looking to go to get outs. You got every guy in the lineup swinging the bat.
Mets fans cheer for Murphy. And to your point about confidence, individually and collectively, when a team goes out and gets a Kelly Johnson, a Juan Uribe, and then a Cespedes, everybody in that locker room has to go, wow, we're going for it. This is great.
Yeah, front office did their part. Now we got to do ours.
And they have to this point as Murphy bats, with the Mets up by a run. Action's begun in the Braves pen, and a shot. Great stop, Freeman. Race to the bag. Whistler got there first. Freeman saved a couple of runs with a marvelous play at the first base line.
It just flat out doesn't get any better than that. Man, oh man, that ball even came up a little bit, hit hard, and it took a funny hop. What a great play.
Our Toyota key play of the game. It keeps the score 1-0 for the moment. And David Wright's the batter. He popped out. That was back in the New York third with Cespedes at third base. Wright playing in his 88th game in this ballpark has hit 19 home runs against the Braves at Turner Field. And takes outside, ball one. Bethancourt here to catch that awkwardly, and yet another visit with young Matt Whistler. Matt Marksberry's loosening up. He might be coming on for Duda.
I think he was looking for a breaking ball there.
I think he was too. Lucky it didn't tear his thumb up.
Granderson and Cespedes are in scoring position for David Wright. He skies that one foul and out of play. 2-1. Tommy, we see David Wright as the captain of the Mets. An opposing ball player. You played with David Wright. Is he as good a guy in the clubhouse as he appears to be from our side of the dugout?
Every bit. Yeah. Kind of guy you love to have in your clubhouse. Great leader for the young players. You know, and it has, you know, just been from the day they called him up to the big leagues, he's just been mature beyond his years and just a real good guy.
And you know, this has to be a very special season for him personally, what with all the Mets have been through these last very dry, unsuccessful years.
Yeah. No, he's I'm sure enjoying every bit of this right now.
Yeah, talking to the Mets broadcasters, yeah, they don't have no sympathy for us and the Braves yeah. and with what they've been through.
Shocker. New York guys with no sympathy?
No.
Is Wright awaits 2-2 pitch. Mets won 79 games all of last year. They have 79 wins entering tonight's game. Much of that done while David Wright was hurt, which speaks to their organizational depth and of course the acquisitions they made before and at the deadline. Big pitch, and Wright took it, full count. And I think Whistler just balked. He did. Granderson comes home on a balk. I don't think Matt paused long enough. That hurts. It's 2-0. Cespedes to third.
I think that was a little picky.
And then Wright on a 2-2 pitch strikes out, and that is the second out.
I agree with you, but I'm not sure why you're hurrying up to begin with right there.
No.
So Marksberry might have been getting ready for Duda, but now you have a base open and the right hand hitting d'Arnaud waiting next. We'll see how this scenario works out. Duda has singled and was walked intentionally, and he'll be walked again, and that went almost to the backstop. Mets put the leadoff man on in 4 straight innings tonight. That leadoff man has scored in the 3rd and the 5th. And the Mets have increased their lead to 2-0 now. So Roger McDowell will trot out and go over strategy with Travis d'Arnaud coming up. He's flied out to center. He's flied out to right and is 0 for 2. Washington is in action tonight. Told you that. They're down in Miami. They somehow have to pick up the pieces and play with great desperation. They're 7.5 back entering play tonight. The Nationals send Gio Gonzalez to the mound against Jarrett Cosart. Marlins playing good ball. They've played the role of the spoiler a bit. They've won 7 of their last 9 games, but are 1 loss away from a 6th consecutive losing season. That one's 1-1 in the top of the 7th.
Jose Fernandez expected to pitch tomorrow for Miami against Washington.
Syndergaard and Williams Perez will face off here in Atlanta.
All right, big out here. Would have preferred it to be bases loaded, but the balk forced in the run, so limit it to the 1 run, make it 2-0, and get in the dugout.
And d'Arnaud fouled it back. d'Arnaud began the season with a fractured finger, as we told you, then the left elbow problem when A.J. Przinsky scored a run standing up, and Travis's left arm just kind of whiplashed back. It cost him a month on the shelf for New York.
Wasn't it a broken toe that set him back last year at the beginning of the year?
Yep.
Coming out of spring training.
All right, here's where you got to make pitch. See if he doubles back up or tries to get him to chase a fastball.
There's a good stop. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Remember, Whistler's big league debut came against the Mets, pitched to beauty. 8 innings of 6 hit, 1 run ball. A little tougher time tonight. 4 2/3 of 7 hit, 2 run ball. 2 intentional walks, 3 in total, and a balk that led to the 2nd run. He struck him out.
Right where Bethencourt wanted it.
So the meeting and the result successful. New York adds run number 2 on a balk. And we head to the bottom of the 5th inning where the top of the Braves order is coming up. Time for our Toyota Tweet of the Week. Which Braves rookie pitcher has the brightest future and why? Tweet us at Fox Sports South using hashtag FutureBravesStar, and your tweet could be read during Braves Live after the ball game. There are a lot of choices for that particular trivia tweet of the week.
There are some candidates.
Whistlers through 5. We'll see who gets up and throws in the bullpen, if anyone, as the Braves bats try to get something mounted against Mats. They had the bases loaded last inning, but that came with 2 outs. Braves have left 6 men on base tonight. 4 of them in scoring position. And strike 1 to Markakis, who has a 3rd inning hit tonight. Oh, and 2. So Joe, going back to your Ford keys, your thoughts on how Matt fulfilled those tonight?
I think he's been aggressive. I think he's just made a couple of mistakes that cost him a run, the walk and the double in the 3rd inning. And last inning he got to that 3-2 count on Granderson, and he had made a good pitch, and then he'd been pounding the low part of the zone, and all of a sudden it was one about bell tie or letter high that he went the other way on to get that rally started. But otherwise I think he's been aggressive like we were hoping he would be.
Swing and a miss by Markakis, and Mats has his 2nd strikeout of the night. 1 up, 1 down. Braves have 4 hits. Castro picked up the first one, a 2-strike single in the opening inning. Mr. Mats has just about everything working tonight.
He's been, I think, everything he's been advertised to this point. He sure seems like he's got a really good idea of what he's trying to do out there, and then going out there and executing it.
That's bounced foul past first.
He's I'll say a rarity. You know, you just don't find too many left-handers at his age throwing 95 and throwing strikes.
Nope.
And with a good hook to go with it. Kelly Johnson told me yesterday, he said, wait till you see the guy that pitches on Friday.
Well, here's a terrifying thought to think about as we look ahead to next year. The Mets quite possibly could have this rotation. Where's the pitch? Mats, Syndergaard, DeGrom, Harvey, and Zach Wheeler. Doesn't count Nice. That doesn't count Bartolo Colon. I mean, that'll win you a lot of games, won't it?
It's a nice problem to have going into your offseason.
That is Syndergaard, the one they call Thor in their clubhouse.
And it's been a long time in coming for the Mets. They've had several young pitchers in their history, and they've broken down. Isringhausen and Pulsifer come to mind. Paul Wilson was the other part of that trio, as that ball's hammered deep toward left by Castro. That ball's got a chance. That ball is gone. Daniel Castro has put the Braves on the board. His first major league homer.
Talked about Daniel and his swing since every time he's come up, every time he plays, and how quick he can turn on a ball. Took an off-speed pitch to right field for a single. Now he turned on one.
Yeah, he's quick in there.
Yeah.
Now Freeman takes one back up the middle. So a couple of hits allowed by Matz to left-handed batters, something that he's not used to at this level. And the Braves have back-to-back hits and are down only a run now. It's 2-1. And there is Dan Warthen with Adonis Garcia coming up.
Congratulations to Daniel Castro. A big thrill for him.
Popped up, first pitch. 2 out. Nice crowd here tonight for the Braves and Mets. We got fireworks after the ball game. And they've seen a good matchup tonight. Whistler versus Matz. New York leads 2-1. Braves trying to break out of a 9-game winless slide here at Turner Field. They've got a shot. Here's Swisher. Mets hasn't had many stressful pitches tonight. He's pushing up toward 90. As this one's rolled toward right, he'll charge. Got the good hop. Got a grip and made a perfect throw. Daniel Castro has hit his first big league home run. A line drive over the boards in left. That cuts the Mets lead in half. And we're off to the 6th inning. It's 2-1 New York. as the Braves try to slow down the Mets, who have a very deep bench tonight.
How about this Home Depot tours from the dugout? That's a whole team's worth of good players. That's not a bad lineup right there, depending on how you shuffle the deck and batting order. That's who Terry Collins has on the bench available to him, plus a backup catcher. He's got Anthony Recker over there too.
Yep.
Maybe they just go Monday, Wednesday, Friday, one lineup. Tuesday, Thursday.
Well, they've got the luxury of doing that if they want. They've still got 3 weeks left in the season as Conforto smokes one to center. Bourne on the run. He's gone as far as he can go, and he hauled it in. One of the best catches of the year.
How about the two defensive plays in back-to-back innings? The one by Freeman and now this one by Bourne. Great play by Michael.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I didn't think he had a chance to catch that ball. I didn't think it was staying in the ballpark.
I didn't either.
And how about the reaction of the fans? We all know how disappointing the Braves record is, but you know what they appreciate? Effort like that. A great catch. And Ruben Tejada stands in. It's fair to say that man for man, talented player for talented player, the Braves are short this year. But one thing they have not been short on is how hard this team is playing. They're giving you everything they got. Some nights it's just not enough. But a great play by Bourne. Gives Whistler a sigh of relief and his first out of the inning. One ball, two strikes. Kirk Neuenhuis is in the on deck circle for New York. And that's out of play foul. With this big lead for the Mets, barring an epic collapse, they're in very good shape in the division. How long does Terry Collins rest his regulars and have these interchangeable parts working every other day, as you suggested, fellas?
I mean, I think you got to do it to some extent for the rest of the year. I mean, but I think that's the challenge, is keeping your foot on the gas pedal, so to speak, you know. But
diving play, Castro from his knees. Whoa. He got Tejada.
Well, he said it in the open. Every time he plays, he does something spectacular. Tonight's no different.
Well, there's something on that throw too. Great play. That's a two-star inning.
But to your point, Chip, yeah, you want to, you know, it's a good luxury to have, you know, but you want to maintain that balance of still putting your foot on the gas and keeping on going, but at the same time giving those guys on the bench an opportunity to play and keep them sharp.
This is Johnny Monell, who was called up September 8th.
And then at some point, as you get close to the end of the season, once you've clinched, assuming they do, then you got to start reminding yourself that I'm not going to have 20 guys to pick from in a couple of days.
Yeah, you got to whittle it down to 25 and get set for the playoffs. And as you said, Joe, as deep as this team is, I don't think that's going to be an easy decision for the Mets.
May not be.
Monell hit .324 at Las Vegas, 7 homers, 51 RBIs. And took a ball barely off the plate, 2-1. Swing and a miss. 93. Johnny Monell, born in the Bronx, lives in Margate, New Jersey. His dad played in the Mets organization, made it all the way to AAA in 1990. This is a family affair for Johnny Monell, who's a catcher by trade. Broke in with the Giants. First big league action was in 2013. That's got him as a minor league free agent after last year. So his reward for a good year at AAA, chance to play in the big leagues in September, and he is down on strikes. Matt Whistler just had a 1-2-3 inning. He hasn't had one of those tonight. And the Braves defensively had one of their best innings of the year. Michael Bourne crashed against the wall to rob Michael Conforto. Ruben Tejada was robbed at second by Daniel Castro. And the Braves go back to work down a run. More so on this September 11th. That's Chief Miles Allen, who works and does such great work, I should say, at Dobbins Air Force Base out in Marietta. So, Chief Allen, welcome to Turner Field. We thank you for all you do for our friends out at Dobbins Air Force Base. What an inning for the Braves. That was a great defensive frame. And Steven Matz is done after 5. He gave up 6 hits, 1 run in 5 innings. Eric Goodell now is on to pitch.
Boy, those are good numbers. 27 innings, 26 strikeouts, only 7 walks, and a 208 average against him.
He'll face Andrelton Simmons leading off for the Braves as we've reached 9:30 Eastern Time. Goodell was a 24th round pick in 2010. Made his big league debut last year, pitched in 6 games, didn't win or lose one. And a product of UCLA. Well hit towards center. Cespedes on the run. What a jump. I had no idea he was that fleet of foot and was able to play center field, guys. I thought this was a corner outfield banger.
I agree. And what you want to watch here is how he goes after this ball running. He doesn't stick his glove out to catch it until the last second, because it slows you down if you're running with your glove already stuck out. So he's running just as he would be running a sprint until he had to reach his arm out there to grab the ball. Well done.
Here's Bethancourt 0 for 2. And he takes a low 90s fastball up and away. 1 ball, no strikes. Almost hit him. 2-0. There's a towering fly ball toward left, but Conforto is going to have room, and there's out number 2. You know, Matt Whistler's hoping for a run. He needs one to get off the hook. And you know, Cameron Maben sitting beside him is hoping for exactly that. Any update on when we're going to see Cameron again?
Yeah, I talked to him before the game, and he's taking some medicine, some eye drops, I believe it is, for his eyes and for that corneal abrasion that he had. He's actually had some issues with the other eye as well that they're getting straightened out. That's why it's taking a little longer than normal. And he said he's hoping by the beginning of the week. Braves are off on Monday. He's hoping he'll be ready to go by Tuesday at the latest.
All offensive players will be on deck with Toronto coming to town.
Yeah, no kidding.
That fearsome offense. Toronto's clubbing the Yankees 9-2 tonight. That's game 1 of that big series in New York. They got a doubleheader tomorrow. David Price started for the Jays in game 1. Severino was the man that took the ball for the Yankees tonight. New York, by the way, Mark Teixeira done for the year.
Is that right?
They found a fracture in the shin.
Is that right?
So Mark Teixeira lost for the Yankees. Greg Bird will be their first baseman the rest of the way.
Bird's done a nice job for him, but he's not Mark Teixeira yet. That's a big blow to the Yankees. Great year for Mark.
No balls, 2 strikes. And strike 3 from Goodell, who works a perfect 6th inning. 2-1 your score. We're through 6 at Turner Field. Go hand in hand. Take a look at the Braves' effort tonight. Excellent glove work. Our SunTrust saves of the game. Freeman then Bourne, then Daniel Castro.
All three spectacular. Any one of the three could have been the defensive play of the game.
And that's why it's only a 2-1 game at this point. Mets have left 7 on base, as have the Braves. Daniel Castro's first big league homer, the only tally for Atlanta tonight. So now we enter the bullpen.
The gates have opened.
The gates indeed have opened. Hopefully Matt will shut him down. 1, 2, 3 with the top of the order coming up.
You know what? He had a good outing his last time out. I got to look at the specifics on the 7th at Philadelphia, but it was in a situation of more responsibility for him. Got a 1-2-3 inning when the Braves won that game 7-2 and snapped their losing streak. He came in relief of Williams Perez and did a good job, real good job.
And what Freddie is doing here, number one, he's got Granderson, a left-handed batter, leading off the inning. Then you've got Cespedes. But he's trying to put Matt in a situation, Tom, where he can be successful. You look at his lefty-righty splits, it's easy to understand why he's in the game at this point.
No, and that's all you can do. Look, regardless of your record and you know, your shortcomings, this, that, and the other thing, you know, you got to play the hand you're dealt. And in that, you've got to give these guys, or at least put these guys in the best situation you can for them to be successful. And if they don't, then that's on them. But you know, as a manager, that's the best you can do, is put them in those situations and see how they do.
And he's off to a good start. Matt Marksberry entered play tonight, allowing a 154 average to left-handed batters. Righties a lofty 387.
Yeah, well, we won't talk about that. We'll talk about the fact that the Braves have, for the last 2 years, searched for a left-hander that can get lefties out.
Yes, they have.
And if he's the guy, and the way he's going right now, looks like he might be that guy, then welcome aboard.
One of those former Braves who could do that is Eric O'Flaherty, who's also in town with the New York Mets, pitching out of their bullpen. He's trying to make their postseason roster as Cespedes takes low and away. Doubt he'll get much good to hit here. 1 ball, no strikes.
See, I think there's Eric. Welcome back to town, EO. At this point, with Cespedes and the way he's going, Daniel Garcia's already playing up the middle. I just have him scoot back and forth real fast back there and try to distract him somehow.
Nothing else has worked. Why not try that? What a run Cespedes has had for the Mets. And that one's launched toward left, but right at Swisher. Cespedes wishes he had another crack at that one, but he's out number 2. Here's Murphy. One of those highlight plays turned in by Freddie Freeman on Murphy's smash in the 5th inning. Sad to say, but the difference in the game right now is a balk. That was in the 5th that brought home Curtis Granderson. Tommy, you know a thing or two about learning on the job at this level. That's not easy for any pitcher to do, and especially relief pitchers, I would think, because the game's on the line more often than not when they come in.
Well, you know, I guess maybe one of the, and I hate to say the positives to what the Braves are going through right now, but you know, I've been saying it for the last number of years. I don't envy all these young guys who have come up here in this environment where they've had to win. You know, I didn't have to do that when I came to the big leagues. You know, we weren't winning. And it's tough. See a base hit up the middle there, but it's tough trying to learn up at this level, and it's really tough trying to do it when the expectations are really high. You know, so now, at least with the Braves being where they are, that part of it is gone, and these guys should be going out there and just embracing the opportunity to pitch and compete and try to get themselves better every single time they go out there. But unfortunately, that hasn't necessarily been the case.
Well, Marksberry got one of the 2 left-handed hitters, and Daniel Murphy guides that one into center field for a 2-hit game. And Freddie Gonzalez will go to his bullpen. Murphy aboard. David Wright coming up. We'll tell you who's on to pitch next.
Uverse, Delta Airlines, and your local Ford dealer.
Good ball game tonight. Mets lead it 2-1. Matt Whistler struck out 6 in his 6 innings. Steven Matz allowed 1 run in his 5. He leads courtesy of a balk, and Peter Moylan, the second pitcher of the inning, will try to get David Wright and send this thing to the home 7th.
Matt Whistler did a great job on Wright tonight. Struck him out twice, fouled him out another time, and David Wright against Peter Moylan in his career just 2 for 15.
Peter Moylan's been a great story for the Braves his entire career. You know his history. Pharmaceutical rep discovered at the World Baseball Classic. Braves signed him. They also had a kid named Phil Stockman. Remember him? Another side-wheeling, hard-throwing right-handed pitcher.
About 6'8", wasn't he?
Yeah. And Peter did good work before having the Tommy John problems. Braves brought him back to be a pitcher/pitching coach at Danville. And Peter was doing great work down there and was pitching really well and just kept rising through the system. The Braves decided, well, you know what, with all of our bullpen issues and the youth and inexperience down there, let's just see where Pete Moylan's arm takes him. Well, all of a sudden, the pitching coach part of his job description went out the window, and here he is back in the major leagues. Amazing story. If you were to write a Hollywood script, no one would believe it, but that's been how Peter Moylan's Major League Baseball career has played out.
So how does that work? Does the manager say, hey, Pete, call down and get yourself up? Or does he just get himself up?
Only a left-hander would ask that question. And I don't have an answer for you, but we will try to find out.
I'm going to ask Pete.
Yeah.
For sure. He'll appreciate that.
You know what? He's been I hate to use the term, kinder, gentler Peter Moylan, but it's been a different trip to the big leagues for him this time. He certainly appreciates being here, and I think as he did the first time, like anybody who has some success, you think it's going to last forever, and he got hurt. It's taken away from him. So there's a great appreciation for it now.
Ground ball. That's what Moylan does. Simmons with a beautiful play feeds Castro, and that ends the inning. So happy Peter Moylan's back in the big leagues and pitching well. He gets the man he was assigned, David Wright, and that will send us to the 7th inning stretch. All around Major League Baseball, we remember not just the terror of that day, but for me and hopefully you and many others, the unbelievable acts of patriotism and heroism that we saw in New York, Washington, D.C., and Shanksville, Pennsylvania. As Timothy Miller makes his way to the center of the diamond, we hope that you'll pause, remember, and reflect on this September 11th, 14 years ago today.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above, from the mountains to the prairies to the oceans, white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Country music, Sam Hunt, presented by Coca-Cola and Delta Airlines on Thursday, October the 1st, when the Braves take on the Nationals. Tickets are going fast. Visit Braves.com/Sam Hunt to buy your tickets today.
That'll be a great show when the Nationals are in town. And all season long, our friends at Delta Airlines get us from city to city. Just one road trip left for the Braves this season. We will visit New York and Miami, and then come back home for that aforementioned homestand with the Nationals and the St. Louis Cardinals.
That young lady's decked out in a red, white, and blue, isn't she?
Beautiful. Yeah. By the way, can Timothy Miller sing or what?
Oh, my goodness.
Special tonight. Addison Reed pitched here last night, worked the 9th inning, gave up a hit and a walk.
And he'll face Jace Peterson, Nick Markakis, and Daniel Castro. Braves are very much alive in this game, 1-1. Marlins lead the Nationals 2-1. Game's in the 9th inning. Mets' magic number is 16. Any combination of Mets wins and Nationals losses that add to 16 means New York seizes the Eastern crown away from Washington. Reed just missed. 3 balls and a strike.
Leadoff walk would be very nice.
Chase batted leadoff for the Braves a lot this year. This is not an unfamiliar situation for him. And now he's got a full count. Cubs won game 1 in Philly 5-1. They're blasting the Phils 6-1 in game 2. That's a long day for the Fightins. We've had a terrific start to the second half of the season, but have really struggled since. Cubs trying to chase down the Pirates or the Cardinals in the National League Central. Pittsburgh's blown open their game 6-2 over Milwaukee. That game's in the 8th inning. Cardinals and Reds tied 2-2 in the 8th inning. Cincinnati won 11-0 over St. Louis yesterday. Cardinals not playing real good ball right now. So the Cubs and Pirates will try to capitalize on that. And Peterson didn't get it. He's down on strikes, and that's how the home 7th starts. Braves are in the part of the Mets staff that's also good. You know about their starters. They've given up 1 run now in their last 15 innings.
Yeah, this is a part of the game that the Mets have owned lately. Their bullpen's been real good lately, and they've been scoring a lot of runs in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings the second half of the year, and really been able to either, as we saw last night, tack on runs or come from behind and win games.
And you never want to talk about who isn't here for a club at this time of year, but it's worth repeating. They lost Henry Mejia, not once but twice, to suspension. And they've been able to pick up the slack and patch that together with Juris Familia closing games out. And he looks unhittable with that new split finger pitch that he's featured.
I was just going to say they didn't miss a beat when they got Familia in that role. And this guy's closed before, so he knows what it's all about at the end of ball games. He's not going to be scared.
One ball, 1 strike.
And they lead after 7. They are 65-6. And they lead after 8, 69-2. And they've done a lot of this too without a guy that I've always liked but who has had a hard time coming back, and that's Bobby Parnell. Parnell still trying to find it.
Tommy John surgery and neck problems just hasn't pieced together for Bobby Parnell, who's got a great arm. Never want to see a guy struggle like that coming back from injury.
You know, but I think he probably will be one of those guys that'll be fine next year once he is comfortable knowing he's physically okay and can cut it loose again.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Base is empty for Markakis. 2-1 Mets. Strike, 3 outside corner. Markakis didn't think so. You almost never see Nick argue. But Todd Titchener rings him up over the outside edge. And that's the 2nd out of the inning. So here's the home run hitting man, Daniel Castro. He's our Yellowwood bringing the lumber feature tonight.
I mean, tomahawked it too.
You look at the 4 big names that the Mets have in their bullpen. We've got Tyler Clippard. He's got postseason experience. Familia we've talked about. Addison Reed's closed before. The Braves can't hit Sean Gilmartin. He's really become a terrific lefty specialist for them.
Good cut.
And then you've got Goodell, O'Flaherty, Parnell, Tim Stauffer. Been in the big leagues a while. They have some options late in the game. And if their starters pitch as well as many think they can, might only need 2 guys a night once postseason play arrives. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And that just missed. Reed's throwing hard. 2-2.
I was going to say that seemed like it came out a lot harder than 92.
I thought the same thing. He looks like he's throwing 97.
That strike 3 call.
Good pitch.
6 up, 6 down for the Mets relief corps with 4 strikeouts. We head to the 8th. Yet. If not, now's your chance. Get a Braves Field Reserve ticket for any remaining game this year and a Saturday Tour Championship grounds pass for just $89. That's a savings of up to 34%. Go to Braves.com/PGA for more information. Pretty ladies on a pretty night. 2-1 New York leads. It's game 2 of the series. Chase Peterson remains in the game. He'll play second base. And the Braves go ever deeper into their bullpen. Now it's Andrew McKirahan's turn to pitch. Mark Sperry and Moylan. 1 inning of 1-hit relief.
After a couple of really rough outings, one at home against the Yankees, then at Washington, Andrew's last 2 times out have been good. Inning and a third, he's given up some hits, but no runs or walks.
And he'll start with Lucas Duda. Then Conforto, then Tejada for the Mets. Bottom part of the attack for Terry Collins. The pitch and a strike. All right, let's check out the lefty-righty splits for McKirahan. Lefties 275. Righties 426. 0-2.
Andrew pitched real well when he first came back from his suspension, and then when he had a couple of bad outings, it seemed to spiral on him in the wrong direction.
That confidence thing, I'm sure.
Marlins beat Washington 2-1. The final score in Miami. The Marlins are playing the role of the spoiler to perfection. Ground ball to second. Peterson to his right. Got there. Duda is the first out. So the Mets edge closer to the division title. Win or lose tonight, they could shave 2 games off that magic number if they can hold on in game 2 here in Atlanta. They can also gain a game on the Dodgers. Perhaps. Arizona scored 4 first-inning runs against Alex Wood tonight. They lead 4-0 and are still hitting. 23,216 in attendance tonight. We've seen a well-pitched game. Here's d'Arnaud 0 for 3. That's a strike. d'Arnaud was not born a Met. He was born a Philly. No balls at a strike. He was a first-round pick in 2007. Went with Kyle Drabek and Michael Taylor for Roy Halladay before the 2010 season.
To the Jays.
To Toronto, right? Or from, yeah, to the Jays, and then came to the Mets in a deal for another Cy Young winner. He was part of the R.A. Dickey trade. Nice play by Simmons. That ball handcuffed him, and guess who he robbed again? d'Arnaud. John Buck, Noah Syndergaard, and Wilmer Becerra from Toronto for R.A. Dickey, Josh Tolley, and Mike Nikias. A deal that's helped both the Jays and the Mets. So McKirahan got his first 2 hitters. Freddie Gonzalez is playing matchup. Michael Kadire has been announced. And McKirahan, a nice job.
The Georgia Lottery. And by Hotel Transylvania 2 in theaters September 25th.
Tomorrow, Fox Sports South has a monster day of sports action. Starting at noon with ACC football, the Louisville Cardinals host the Houston Cougars. Then at 3:30 Eastern, the state champs Georgia Tech will take on the Green Wave of Tulane. And finally, we switch back to the Diamond, where tomorrow night the Braves battle the Mets. Fox Sports South, home of your home teams. Base is empty for Arodys Vizcaíno, and he will face Michael Kadire. Kadire, another Met who's battled injury this year.
Boy, over and over again it seems like he's been available, then hurt, then playing well, then hurt. Vizcaíno's had some tough luck in Washington. That blown save when he gave up that hit to Den Decker in the bottom of the 9th inning that tied the ball game. But even that night he looked really good, and he has looked great since he came back.
1 ball, 1 strike. Chance to get him a little extra work. He's only pitched around 23 innings so far for the Braves this season. As Tyler Clippard gets ready for the 8th. Historically, the Braves have hit Tyler pretty hard. Bouncing ball. That is a fair ball, and Garcia can't make the play. It was a tough play. And Kadire's aboard in the 8th inning with 2 outs.
Would have been a really good play. It probably will go as a base hit. It is a hit, and Eric Young in the pinch run.
So Kanire's out of bad wrist. Tested that out. Gets a hit. Gets the rest of the night off. And a fast man takes over at first base in Eric Young. Ruben Tejada is the batter, 0 for 3. Well, that's got to be a dejected Washington Nationals clubhouse tonight. Beaten by the Marlins as that ball's hit the other way by Tejada. Young around second, on his way to third. He'll make it without a throw, and all of a sudden there's some 2-out trouble, first and third for the Mets. And it'll be Kirk Neuenhuis to pinch hit. Didn't realize it until I looked at the Mets notes today. It's been an amazing year for Neuenhuis. We talked last night about the big home run he hit against the Washington Nationals. But Kirk Neuenhuis was actually traded to the Angels in late May. May 27th, in fact. And 16 days later, the Angels waived him. Well, the Mets brought him back, and he hit one of the biggest home runs of the year for him just a couple of days ago.
Was he traded to the Angels, or was it a trade after he had been designated for assignment by the Mets?
It says in their notes that he was actually traded to the Angels for cash. And that one got by Bethancourt, and Young's going to score standing up. Big run, 3-1 Mets. Let's take a look and see what happened on this pitch.
Goodness, that wasn't even in the dirt.
It was a strike. It might have been a strike.
Yeah, might have been.
That is a problem that has plagued Christian this year. Big run. That is Bethancourt's 7th passed ball in 314 innings. That run charged to Vizcaíno. 3-1 game for Neuenhuis. 2 outs. And you're right. It was a passed ball on a strike. Now it's 0-2. Five straight games on the road. The Mets have now scored 3 runs or more. They've done that on 10 hits this evening. And the 0-2 pitch. Out straight back. Tigers in Cleveland were rained out tonight. Why do I mention the Indians? Well, the Indians are 4 back in the wild card, and 16 of the last 22 games are at home. Keep an eye on the Tribe. Over in the American League, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Neuenhuis pokes that towards short. Simmons has it. And the throw to first is in time. 2 singles and a passed ball with 2 outs brings home a 3rd Mets run.
Music. Sam Hunt, presented by Coca-Cola and Delta Airlines on Thursday, October the 1st, when the Braves take on the Nationals. Tickets are going fast, so visit Braves.com/Sam Hunt to buy your tickets today.
Well, that's a great shot. Kids with the specs on, because the man that pitches with the specs on is in for New York. It's Tyler Clippard, who you know is taking great personal satisfaction in the way the Eastern Division race has turned out to this point.
Well, Tyler Clippard has been getting clipped by the Braves. You see the last 2 seasons, 14 games, at ERA astronomical.
He'll face Freddie Freeman to lead things off. 3-1 game. Boy, that pass ball is a killer. See if Atlanta can rally against Tyler Clippard. Kirk Nieuwenhuis stays in the game. He's in left. Freddie Freeman 5 for 14 against Clippard with a homer. Tonight, Freddie's 1 for 2 with a walk.
Clippard throws hard and he's got a good changeup, but the Braves have owned him. Freddie 5, as you said, 5 for 14 with a homer. And Clippard was picked up right before the deadline from the A's, and they got cash from the A's to help pay him for minor league pitcher Casey Meisner. That was a great pickup.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Doggone it, that was a big run. 1 on a balk and 1 on a pass ball tonight.
And Freddie's down on strikes. Tyler Clippard got him. Last 5 hitters have been retired via strikeout by the Mets relief corps. Here's the balk. That was in the 5th inning.
So called by Tim Welke.
Fastball and strike. Young, and the first Met run was a leadoff walk and then a double by Cespedes in the 3rd inning off Matt Whistler. But if you're looking for silver linings tonight, Matt pitched a terrific ball game. Mark Sperry, Moylan, and McKirahan scoreless relief. Tough break for Vizcaíno to be charged with the 8th inning run.
Yeah, still, I wonder why, in Matt's case with the balk, why you're trying to hurry up in that situation to begin with.
There's a shot by Garcia toward left field. That'll be in front of Nieuwenhuis. And the tying run will come to the plate. It'll be Nick Swisher.
Swisher's never faced Clippard as a Brave, but he's 1 for 1 against him in his career. There was a time when Tyler Clippard, when he was with the Nationals, the Braves knew they were going to hit him, and Tyler knew they were going to hit him. Real frustrating stretch for him.
Y'all have used that word a lot. Confidence. Braves felt very good facing Tyler Clippard. See if Swisher can move Garcia around. Fly ball center. Cespedes though is going to catch that. Got a pitch to hit and just got under it. 2 out. Andrelton Simmons, the final hope for the Braves in the 8th. He's 1 for 3. Top of the orders coming up for the Mets in the 9th inning. They lead 3-1. Shot to left. That'll get down. And the go-ahead run's coming to the plate. And it's Christian Bethancourt.
Boy, nice job by Andrelton to stay back on that. It was a high pitch, a little off speed, and he had to wait on it a little bit, but didn't get out on his front foot too quickly.
Keep the line moving. There's 2 outs, 2 on. Bethencourt, then Bourne. Christian 0 for 3 tonight. He has not faced Tyler Clippard.
Ooh.
Center cut. He just missed it.
Yep.
Back our way. And overhead. And it's now 0-2. Changeup got him. Tyler Clippard struck out 2, gave up 2 hits. He preserves a 2-run lead. Tonight, let's get back to our AT&T Uverse trivia question. Since 1990, only one Atlanta Brave has a higher batting average against the Mets than Chipper Jones' .309 mark. Told you about the great work that Andrelton Simmons has done against the Mets this year. Who has the best batting average?
Well, we keep showing Andrelton, so I'm going to go with Andrelton.
I was thinking that too, but I don't know if he's got enough at bats. But
probably not.
I'm gonna go. I'll say Javi.
Javi. I'm going to say Andrew Jones.
They were just giving us hints. Yeah. I don't know why. I just had a feeling.
I think they're trying to make the standings respectable before the end of the year.
So you're saying I don't know anything?
I know you know stuff.
So you got it's a power of deduction.
Well, you put the old Oklahoma mind meld on him. Worked out great. As Granderson leads off again. 5th time he's led off an inning tonight. And he scored twice. Three runs, 10 hits for the Mets. They've committed the game's only error. 1 run, 8 hits for the Braves. No errors, 9 left. Whistler and Matz, the pitchers of record to this point. Both pitched well. 3. Granderson pops this one up. Adonis gives chase over near the Mets dugout. He didn't have room. Didn't reach over the rail. Don't know if he would have had a shot at it or not from our angle. So perhaps another swing for Granderson here. Granderson takes a walk.
We could go back and look at that sequence and see that when the count went 3-1, every target, I mean, it was a fastball called, and every target was set up on the outside corner of the plate. Well, now that's a very fine line there to throw a strike, and I realize 3-1 is a hitter's count. You're trying not to make a mistake, but the chances of ball 4 are greatly increased by that setup. And this goes back to something I talked about a lot on the road trip, Tom, is that we don't pitch inside enough, at least for me. And I don't see what's wrong. If you're going to miss inside, what's the difference? But outside, that ball was running, kept running on Vizcaino.
I mean, I think sometimes, you know, I don't like to question pitch selections or whatever, because there's so many thoughts that go into what they're doing out there that we don't know about. But I do feel like sometimes with the pitch selection, they're selecting pitches that give them such a small margin of error. You know, whether it's with 2 strikes or, like you say, in that situation, you know, especially there, you've already missed outside 3 times. So why are you trying to throw one on the black?
Right.
You know, you're throwing 95, 96. The ball's moving. Throw it to the outer half and let it go where it wants to go. And if it runs and runs to the outside corner, great. You know, but in today's game, where the strike zone is less east and west and more north and south, guys don't chase those pitches off the plate much anymore.
See if Cespedes has a green light. 3 balls, no strikes. He did, and he just launched one. How far is this baby going to go? Cespedes is putting on a second half show. A mammoth home run. His 15th since putting on a Mets uniform. A 3 RBI night, and the Mets extend the lead. And that's going to be it for Vizcaino.
97 miles an hour up and in.
So a third of an inning. 3 hits. 3 runs, a walk, and no strikeouts for Arodys Vizcaino.
I'd say he got the green light.
Man, oh man. Velocity on that home run, 104.8 miles an hour. And the Mets continue to drive in runs at a dizzying pace. Their 76th home run as a team since July 25th. Cespedes has hit 15 of them.
Well, they've hit 21 as a team in their last 11 games, and he's hit a home run in 7 of his last 10 games. Amazing.
So it's 5-1 New York. Nobody on or out in the 9th inning. And tomorrow the MLB on Fox returns as the AL East leading Blue Jays take on the Yankees. It'll be a doubleheader day in New York, by the way. The Tigers and Indians square off in a game you can only see on Fox Sports 1. As mentioned, the Indians only 4 games back in the AL wildcard chase, and 16 of their last 22 games are at home. They too were rained out tonight. Coverage begins at 12:30 Eastern on Fox, 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1, and streaming live on Fox Sports Go. Game 3 of the series in Atlanta is tomorrow night. Another young phenom will go to the hill for the Mets, and Williams Perez, who pitched better his last time out, the other Chevron probable starter.
We have a second look at Syndergaard. Saw him earlier this year, 8-6 on the year. Williams Perez back on track. That last start helped the Braves snap their 12-game losing streak.
Yeah, it's good to see him get things back going in the right direction, and looking forward to watching Syndergaard tomorrow.
Freddy Gonzalez talking with Arodys Vizcaíno. And Brandon Caniff is on to pitch. 2 in, nobody out in the New York 9th.
I like that. I like seeing Freddie go down there and talk to him, because Arodys has been very good.
Danny Murphy. Ball 1. Two more hits for Murphy, who's up to 274 for the year now. And that's out of play, foul. Wonder what they'll do with Daniel Murphy, who's one double away from third place on the all-time Mets doubles list. Jose Reyes one ahead of him, 222. On a play, 1 ball, 2 strikes. They've got Tejada, they've got Flores, got a lot of options in the middle infield.
It's like Gil Martin instead of Familia. They don't need him in a closing spot here. That home run by Cespedes, by the way, I believe gives him 100 RBIs for the year.
Let's see, 3 tonight. Yep, puts him right at 100. Joe, 33 homers and 100 knocked in. Two balls, 2 strikes for Murphy. Tough man to strike out. And he drives one to deep center. Bourne on the run. Checks the fence. Has plenty of room. And there's the first out. Murphy first in the major leagues in fewest strikeouts per plate appearance. Anderson Simmons of the Braves is second. One away for David Wright. Into the big sigh of relief for the Mets, knowing that David Wright is back and able to play. Back issues are very scary things. And the other part of that for New York is the financial investment they've made in David Wright. He signed through the 2020 season. And justifiably so, a 7-time All-Star. And I've said it before about David Wright, and Tom echoed those sentiments a moment ago. When guys like David Wright are playing, even if they're playing against you, it's good for the game because they're such great ambassadors for the sport and for their team. Something I said about Derek Jeter and to Derek Jeter. I'm a Braves fan. I hate the Yankees. I hate the Mets, but it's really hard to hate those two guys that they've represented the game.
No, I'm with you. And like I say, a lot of the great players in the game, it's better when they're playing.
I liked what he did. I'm not sure I could have been as magnanimous as he was about staying in New York when they were awful. He was a free agent, had a chance to go somewhere else and a chance to win right away with someone else, and he chose to stay in New York and try to see it through. So another good reason to like him.
David Wright, 1,530 lifetime games, all of them with the Mets. That's the most among any active players, all their games with one team. 3 balls, 2 strikes. And a bouncing ball to third. As he has got it. And the throw to first in time, 2 outs. Didn't used to be that way 40, 50 years ago. If you played 15, 20 years in the major league, Unless they traded you, you stayed where you started. And here's Duda.
Well, tomorrow for Williams Perez, one of the things that ought to be on his checklist is the top of the order. Granderson and Cespedes. They've done all the damage tonight. Granderson leading off the inning 5 times, 2 walks, a single, and he scored 3 times.
Six runs, 5 walks combined. They've been on base 9 times in the first 2 games. And that one ricochets right to Freddie Freeman. Let's see if Kniff is all right. A wicked shot off the bat of Lucas Duda. Turns into a 1-3 put out. Kick save and a beauty by Kniff. Check out this lucky bounce. And we head to the home 9th, down 5-1.
Your power and your local Toyota dealers. Let's go places.
It's 5-1 New York as we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Last call for the Braves. And another reason why the Mets are rolling is, as Tom mentioned, their bullpen, and especially the back end, where Juris Familia's figured out a new pitch and the Mets have figured out who's closing games.
Yeah, he sat down and then got back up, so that tells you how important this game is, knowing that they can pick up a game on the Nationals for Terry Collins.
And on the Dodgers, who they try to pass.
Great numbers in August and September after some troubles in July. An 0.49 ERA. He's 3rd in the majors in saves with 39, and he's 4th on the club's all-time save list. Billy Wagner's next with 40, so he could tie him for 3rd all-time in one season.
Gonna have Michael Bourne leading things off. Then Jace Peterson, then Nick Markakis. A run in the 8th, 2 in the 9th. Breaks the game open for the Mets, who led 2-1 through 7th. Familia was tinkering with his split finger grip. Couldn't figure out how to throw it consistently for strikes. Made the adjustment, and it is dropping off the table, and it is a hard split finger pitch. One ball, one strike. Lee is only 25. Non-drafted free agent, signed in 2007. . Threw a lot of innings in the minor leagues as a starting pitcher. He managed to get his inning count up since the 2012 season in the big leagues. Relief man. And a shot to second off the bat of Bourne. He leads the league in atom balls this year. Tough break for Michael, 1 out. Jace Peterson struck out in the 7th inning. Addison Reed was impressive that frame. He struck out the side.
Yeah, that was a good find for them there. That's a pretty good piece to bridge the gap.
4 pitches for Familia. And Peterson digs in. Here it comes. And in, ball 1. I'd say the Diamondbacks are a little angry tonight out west. 10-0 over the Dodgers. That comes in the 2nd. Paul Goldschmidt should be in the MVP discussion in the National League, but his numbers have dropped off the last couple of weeks. He's got good reason. He and his wife welcomed their first baby about a week ago or so. 1 ball, 1 strike. And Peterson didn't get it. They're going back to the future with the split finger pitch that was so big during the 1980s in Major League Baseball. And it was the slider, now it's the cutter. Funny how that out pitch evolves over the course of time. 10 years from now, there'll be something different that somebody tries, and hitters will have to make an adjustment.
Those hitters aren't too happy about that cutter, though.
No. And it's downstairs. 2 balls, 2 strikes. No swing, and it's a full count. I hope Kent Mercker and Mark Wohlers are watching the game tonight. Maybe Alejandro Pena too. 1991, a special day in Braves history. That trio combined to throw the first combined no-hitter in National League history. The Braves beat the Padres 1-0. Three balls, 2 strikes. Belt high inside corner. Peterson took it. Got to plug that hole. And Atlanta's down to its final out. And here's that magical moment. 1991, a very special year. 1-2, right. There's no hit a team that had Tony Gwynn.
That's right, yeah. Parker, Wohlers, Alejandro. It was a good night. It was fun to watch.
Worst first season for the Braves is Nick Markakis, the final hope. And a shot toward the gap in left. That's going to get down. Nick Markakis, another multi-hit game. He is something else. His 47th multi-hit effort of the year. And it's a 2-out double. And Hector Olivera is going to pinch hit for Brandon Kniff.
On time with that swing, up and away. Another double, too.
35 of those for Nick. Olivera had an infield hit last night. He's 1 for 4. He's carrying a 5-game hit streak into tonight's play. Tough assignment for him now. He's going to find a way to hit Familia and keep that streak and the game alive. Little chopper out toward the mound. Familia's got it, and the throw to first in time, and the Mets have beaten the Braves 5-1 the final score. They pick up another game on the Nationals. Their magic number to clinch the East is now 14. And they're also trying to gain a game on the Dodgers, maybe host a divisional series playoff.